and get excited very quickly. I understand why you're excited, and I really support that, but from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. When you think about all those startups that became scale-ups, data most of the time comes really, really late in the process of developing a company. And if you haven't thought about it at the beginning, then you will pay it, like, it's going to be very expensive at the end. You have to be careful to understand all accents. Because if, let's say, the American accent, the British accent, or like very well transcribed it, but then the Irish accent is not, that's a bias. You cannot have a product that doesn't understand French accent speaking English. When I talk to the team, I always tell them, don't forget that you're talking to people. We might work in AI, but we're working with people and we're talking to people. So they're going to be afraid because change is not comfortable. Like, nobody likes change. So you need to make sure you teach them in the right way, because at the end of the day, you want them to use your product because you want to have good KPIs.
Today, I am very happy to welcome Audrey Libert. She's the head of AI product delivery and operation at IAG, the International Airlines Group, which is a major airline holding company. Thank you, Audrey, for accepting my invitation. How are you?
Very good. Thank you, Margot. Thank you for having me.
Can you start by sharing a bit more about your background, like what led you to your current role?
So I started my career in consulting, Deloitte, Capgemini, the big consulting company, quite classic. And then, so I was in London. I've always worked in London. The fintech industry was kind of booming. So I heard about all those startups and I wanted to be part of the party. So I joined one of them. I've been leading the operations and also do a bit of product. It's called Land Invest. And then I joined Checkout.com, which is like a major scale-up. It was a small startup when I joined, became a scale-up. And I was VP transformation at Checkout.com. So I was already starting to think about how to transform a small company to become more like productive, but also more profitable. I built teams from scratch. We built products to automate the processes, and it was great journey. I loved it. But after 5 years, I needed to do something else. So I was like, okay, so what will I do? And I wanted a bit of freedom as well. So I became a freelancer. In London, we say contractor, but it's basically the same thing. And I joined IAG.ai. So IAG.ai is really the AI lab inside IAG. And there, they wanted to build an AI lab in London and also in Barcelona. Called an old client of me. Say, well, what are you doing now? I was like, oh, I'm at IAG. Like, do you want to join me? I was like, yeah, let's try. And that's how I landed at IAG. And I started to build the AI lab in the company. Quite exciting, big journey, big challenges, but very, very exciting. And I'm excited to be here today to talk about it with you.
Thank you so much. Can you start by explaining maybe to the audience what an AI lab is in the context of IAG?
Yeah, so an AI lab is really like a mini startup inside a big group. So we wanted to build a big team doing AI specifically. I mean, in the big company, you have the IT department, you have the data department. We wanted to build more or less the same thing, but just focusing on AI. So we took an office in London in a WeWork and decided to build a mini startup. We had a budget and we were like, okay, so where do we start? We start by recruiting people. So we recruited we didn't recruit people in the traditional way because we started with suppliers. That was the easiest way to have a lot of people in a lab and have busy lab. So that's how we started, and then we built an operating model to try to do things with like methodology and have some rigor as well around that. As you go, you need to then do your kind of like publicity as well, because of course we work in a big group. So maybe I can recap what is IAG. Yeah. So IAG is it's a company holding airlines. So we own British Airways, Aer Lingus, Vueling, Iberia, Cargo, and Loyalty. And so those airlines, they report to the group in a way, and we are building product for them. So of course, when we started to build the AI lab, they didn't know about us because they have their own AI team as well internally. So we needed to start building relationship with the key stakeholders, try to identify as well the domain we wanted to tackle with AI, which is not an easy thing, because when you think about AI, you're like, oh yeah, AI can be applied everywhere. No, it can't. And so we needed to have discussion with them and try to start discovery with the airlines. So talk to the marketing guy, for example, in British Airways, let's say, okay, what can we do together? What are your pain points? Where can we start? So that's how we started. And slowly, we started to identify key domains we wanted to transform with AI. And we decided to focus on those key domains. So we had 6 key domains, and we started to build teams around those domains. And that's how we started the journey.
Oh, wow. When did you start?
So we started in October 2023.
Okay.
So it's about 1 year. It has changed massively because what we started at the beginning is very different to what we have now. And I know next year we will evolve again. At the beginning, we were a bit all over the place because we needed to make some noise, I would say. We really wanted to be heard and we wanted to become the expert in the group. We did the thing like, it was a bit of a big bang. Had a lot of people on the ground. We didn't really recruit the right people for the job. So it was a bit all over the place. And through last year, so in 2024, the job was really to kind of like tidy everything up, really. Making sure that we have the right people in the labs, we are doing the right thing for the group, and we are doing it in the right way. And that's really key because, for example, we had our first audit and I was like, oh, we have an audit. So I'm used to audit, but in financial services. But the reality is in AI, you're going to have audit all the time as well because you need to develop things with like the right. So you need to build AI ethically and responsibly. That's the thing. So how do you do that? You need to design a framework, you need to train the people. So a lot of things like that. I realized, like, talking to you that in like 1 year ago, it was very, very different to what we have now, which is a good news. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Nice. And so you were saying in most of the airlines, they had already an AI team.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it integrated now or do you, because you work as a sort of service center?
Each airline, they have their AI team.
Okay.
If I would say not all of them, but most of them have their AI team, or it's a bit of like innovation, transformation, AI data.
Okay.
So it's a bit like blurry in terms of where those teams sit. But the reality is we have to work in collaboration with those teams. They're allowed to build their own product. That's not an issue at all. They can build their own AI product. The thing is, we need to collaborate. So we are doing some work to know about those products. And we're like, oh, actually, this product, we know another airline want that product. So how do we do to industrialize the product? So we work in collaboration with the OPCO. So we call them operational company, OPCO. So we work in collaboration with them. And that's how we can build things at scale. Because, of course, like developing an AI product for your own operational company is different than building it for the group because the data will be different. The technology might be different as well. The processes supporting the AI product might be different as well. So how do we make sure that we build product that can fit everyone and maybe like one day fit all the airline company in the world? That's really what I have in mind. It's kind of like a little dream, like, oh yeah, we're going to build like AI product for all the airline companies. Why not? I mean, and the thing is, when you think that way, you build the right products. I really think that when you think agnostically of your customer, not in a sense that ignoring the customer, that's not the point, but more in terms of, data or processes, etc., you're building things that will fit the majority of the people, the majority of the processes, and that will really make your product strong and a product that will last as well. If you think about it, building a product for one problem that you have right now and just to fix the problem right now, well, maybe in like 10 months' time, the problem will be different and your product won't make any sense. So that's really what I'm trying to build. It's like having that vision that actually you need to build agnostic product. And that's something I had when I was at Checkout as well. It's like, oh, we need to be agnostic of any data provider, let's say, or like we need to be able to sell that product to other PSP company.
Yeah, you really have very like long-term vision to make sure everything you build will last in time.
Yeah, because those products are very expensive.
Yeah, of course.
Building AI products is expensive.
Yeah.
What's expensive is the data center, but also the people. The people building those products, they are not like cheap people. Like hiring a data scientist, data engineer, ML engineer, they're very expensive people. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, of course, they have like key skills right now, so it's kind of normal. But the thing is, if you want to build an AI product and then support it for the long term, it's going to cost you quite a lot of money. So you need to be sure you're building the right thing.
Yeah. So you create your own roadmap based on, we will discuss exactly the processes, like how do you start, how do you identify the product. So I see two things, but correct me if I'm wrong. You have the products that you will build. So you will tell me exactly how you identify them. But you have as well products that are developed within the AI teams in the airlines, and you support them scaling or industrializing. Exactly. Okay, you have these two missions.
Yeah, we have several engagement model. Either we know the airlines are building their AI product and they need help to accelerate.
Okay.
And they know that we have the right skill set. So we have the right people, we embed those people in their team, and off you go, you can accelerate and build the product. Then we have products that we build internally that are kind of requested by many airlines, or more than one airline. And okay, so we have airline A and airline B, they want the same product. So let's start a team and build that product. And maybe airline C will want that product as well. And then we have products that we know will be a good fit for all airlines. It could be a product for the workforce, for example. We know that we have a lot of people working in front of a computer, using PowerPoint, Word document, etc. Those people, they will all need the same type of AI product. So we build that and we deploy for the group. We can deploy in phases, of course. We start with IAG as an organization, and then we can offer that to another airline, British Airways, Vueling, etc. So those are like the three engagement models we have.
And how do you identify your the products you want to build? So you're saying they're like sort of basics because you know the challenge because you've been part of the industry, etc. Do you stay like how do you stay? How do you have all the news from the industry? What does the industry need? What does the business need? Do you try to innovate on your side, or do you expect the business to always share the challenges that they face? How does it work? How do we identify the products?
So we have many ways to gather kind of like feedback from the industry, but and when I say industry, it's airline industry, but also the AI industry, because like you need to cross those two worlds. So we have an innovation team. We work with a lot of startups. So we are kind of scanning the market all the time to see what are like the hot startup, like emerging, like, that's interesting. And then we can do some proof of concept with them, for example. Like, oh, okay, so is someone interested? Does it work? Proof of concept is like 3 months. Okay. Yes, it's still a lot of money, but at least you can test, learn, and reiterate. And also I'm having a team, so I'm having graduates as part of the lab, because I truly believe in graduates being part of a team as well. And they have one project, which is called a side project of like what they do on a day-to-day basis. They have to create a market scan, so they create a report every month on everything AI related. So it could be new technology, it could be what's happening in airline industry, what's happening in like the big AI company, etc. That way, on a monthly basis, we can scan and understand what's happening and what's coming as well. And also it's the competition. Yeah, it's like what others are doing. And what is working. We are also working with big consulting company. So of course we have discussion with them on a like weekly basis, and they give us some insights from the industry, what they see, what their clients are doing, etc., etc. So it's a lot of different data points that kind of like leads us to a thing that we think we can build and we should build. And of course, there is always a business case because you cannot build without knowing what you will get at the end. So business case is a big thing in like what we do. So for the AI lab, we have an AI board every quarter. And every quarter we need to tell, this is what we are building, this is the value we're going to get, this is what it's going to cost, and do that exercise. Because at the end of the day, you could say, okay, that product will save you 100K every year, but it will you will need to pay 150K every year to support it. Well, where is the... I don't really understand. It doesn't match. Kind of like, yeah, okay, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but sometimes when you take, for example, customer contact center, so it's where like the people are calling and make complaint and trying to say, oh, my flight was delayed, can I get compensation, etc. Well, the call center are most of the time in India. I'm not talking about IAG, I'm talking about generally speaking. So in India, Madagascar. And I mean, sadly, it costs cheaper to run a call center in India than building an AI product.
Yeah,
because
that's very good point.
The thing is, to build an AI product, I mean, for IAG, it's in London or Barcelona, it's quite expensive to recruit people, quite expensive to maintain, because you need to have people on the ground all the time. So of course you do the math and you're kind of like, well, I'm not sure it's worth it. So you have to be careful as well, because with AI, you can get excited very quickly. And you're kind of like, oh, that would be cool to do that thing. And like, yeah. I mean, I understand why you're excited, and I really support that. But from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. So you're kind of like, well, sadly, we'll have to say no and do something else, which is, it's life, right?
Very interesting. I think it's important to actually voice it out a lot. So you start from if I understand well, you start from the business challenge. Let's say you check you run the business case. Is it worth building something with data and AI, etc.?
Yeah.
Or is it just like an improvement of like the processes or that you need to build?
Yeah.
Or the third one will be, are you checking as well, I believe, like is it worth just buying something that exists on the market?
I can give you a very concrete example. We were working on the baggage process.
Yeah.
So baggage is a big thing, of course, for airlines. And we had a team of like just 2 people, because when we start a team, we first have the product owner and the kind of like data scientist lead. They're working pair together, and they start to do what we call discovery. So they need to shape kind of mini business case for the product, and then they do discovery when they talk to a lot of stakeholders and they try to do maybe workshops, etc. And at the end of discovery, they go through what we call a 3-hour session. They share what they found, and they share like why they want to be on the product and timeline, etc. And then at this point, we decide whether we go and build the product or if we kill the product and do something else. And so it's at this point as well that we start recruiting the team to properly build the product. And so we had that like baggage domain, and we're like doing discovery, and we found out like very interesting thing. So we mapped all like the baggage journey through the airport, very interesting. But at the end of the day, we're kind of like, well, there's nothing AI can solve.
Yeah.
We just need to rework the processes. It was like, okay, we maybe at some point we will be able to apply AI, but not now, because we need to automate things. We need to rethink about the processes. We need to streamline them. We need maybe to train the people as well to make sure they understand the new processes, etc. You're kind of like, well, you talk to your stakeholder and like, sorry, like we cannot build an AI product because there is no AI product that will solve your problems. However, we can work with you and streamline your processes and maybe automate some of them, because in the lab, we do have AI team, but we also have what we call intelligent automation teams. So those teams are the teams working with you on mapping the processes, the as-is, the to-be, and they work with you to understand where you can apply automation to save money, to be more productive. In the end of the day, it's kind of the same. You're kind of saving money as well. And that way you can very quickly improve your processes, because building automation, it's I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's easier than building a product from scratch.
And cheaper usually.
Exactly. And you can get the value very, very quickly as well. And sometimes kind of like it's stupid thing, like, I don't know, you can just like change a currency in a spreadsheet or anything that could save you like a big amount of money.
And this is part of your mandate as well. So half of the...
Exactly. Yeah. So we have those two teams, AI and IA, and they work together. They collaborate together, of course, because sometimes when we start an AI product, then at some point you're kind of like, we need a bit of automation as well to progress. And so we work in collaboration with the two. As part of that intelligent automation team, we have a team that is like very focused on continuous improvement. It's like they have the lean methodology that they apply, etc. They're also helping with everything related to change management because, of course, like automations and AI comes with change management because you need to train the people. You cannot just drop a new product and say, bye.
My job is done.
And try to find out yourself what you can do with that. No, you really need to train the people. That's a big, big part of AI. I mean, it's true for any AI product, like ChatGPT. Okay, fine. I mean, you can use ChatGPT very easily, asking questions, same way you would ask Google questions, or you could write like proper prompts that will give you much better answers than if you just write a Google. So AI product comes with a lot of training as well, and we have that team internally to support.
Amazing. We will talk about this. This is actually very interesting. Just going back to the discovery phase.
Yeah.
So how long does it take usually, like for a product?
I'm trying to reduce it as much as I can, just because, I mean, same thing. If you have two people, it costs a lot of money. If at the end you have nothing, then you need to justify as well. So I'm trying to time box the discovery between 6 and 8 weeks.
Okay.
Because that's the time you need to understand if there is a product to build or not. Like frankly, if after 8 weeks you're not sure,
it's not.
Maybe it's not the right time.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need to go and find another product with another domain. So yeah, maybe it's because the stakeholders are not ready to engage and build an AI product as well.
So what are the key things, the key KPIs that you look at when you choose to actually go with it or not after discovery? Yeah. I believe there is a sort of like adoption, like if only British Airways wants the product, do you go for it or do you need many people? What are the key
the key decision points?
Yeah, exactly. That you need to have.
So we need more than one airline to be ready to adopt. If it's just one airline, it's gonna. I mean, we're gonna build for one airline, so it's gonna be
it's not your mandate. Yeah,
and also it's gonna be very bespoke to that airline. And then if later on, let's say like 2 years later, another airline wants to take it, it's not gonna be possible because it's too bespoke to the first airline. So we are trying to have 2 airlines all the time. That's one of our principles.
Okay, interesting.
The value delivered is, of course, a big thing as well. And when I say value delivered, it's not just building the product. Okay, you build the product, it's going to generate that much of value in terms of like pounds or euro or whatever. But then how much will it cost to support it? Because again, supporting AI product is very different than supporting a normal IT product. Yeah. The technology is evolving so quickly that you need to be on top. You need to have a proper team. You cannot just have, like, let's say, IT people just like managing the product. You need constantly to have data scientists, data engineers. So you need to have the right people to support that product. And of course, it costs a lot of money. So the value delivered is a big thing. We also need to make sure that the value delivered is big enough compared to another use case. Because of course, like on like annual basis, we have a budget and we need to prioritize between use cases. So if, let's say, we are building a delay prediction model and you're kind of, it's saving a lot of money, but we are not sure the airline, if they're all like ready to adopt, etc. And then you have a bigger use case coming in. It's like, maintenance is a big thing. And that's the value that is going to be delivered. You're kind of like, okay, so let's drop the delay prediction model. Even if we know that there is value there, we'll do that later because the priority is maintenance, because you know that it's a bigger chunk, and the sooner you solve it with AI, well, the better of your. That's the main thing. Is like the value, the adopters as well, and then there is also the kind of like market trends. If like again, if you know that other airlines are saving, I don't know, X million of pounds in catering using AI, you're kind of like, there is something here. Surely we can do that as well. So you always, it's not like a decision point, but it's kind of like it's just giving you like that, question all the time, like how do they do that? And why are we not doing that? So there's a bit of FOMO as well. You're like, I'm sure there is something here.
There's something
so
there.
We need to kick off something. So So again, not like a super strong decision point here. So the two big ones are adopters and the value.
Yeah, and then you take into account like the market trends. That's
exactly.
Okay. And so you can drop, let's say, so at the end of the discovery phase, you drop a couple of products. You build a yearly roadmap, or is it that you do that or is it ongoing?
Yeah, it's ongoing.
Okay.
Really.
You're very agile.
Yeah, very, very agile. You have to.
Yeah.
And the thing is, even discovery, we are trying to time box it. But when I talk to the product guys or like the data guys, they're kind of like, well, we cannot time box because we can always discover something new. And that's true because of course, like you have a new set of data, so you're trying new hypotheses, etc. Which I do understand, but at some point, like you need to have some methodology around it. So yeah, we have an yearly roadmap, but it's a very high level, and then we refine it on a quarterly basis.
Okay, during your boards,
exactly.
Boards. Yeah. Okay, interesting. And so you will drop ideas at the end of discovery phase. Yeah. Then you were saying like you go for a POC. You drop as well some products at the end of the POC, or you really try to secure the fact that like when you choose to build it, it's gonna lead to something?
No, so the proof of concept, we are allowed to drop the product at the end as well.
Okay.
Because also we are dependent on the adoption. So on the other side, people need to be ready. They need to have the capacity to adopt new products. So sometimes it's like business is business, and they're like, well, we have this new thing just came up. We don't have capacity from a people standpoint to support a new product. So we'll have to like put it on hold and maybe start later. Or you're working with an airline, like a domain wants to build two products, but that they don't have capacity to adopt two products at the same time. So you need to prioritize as well. But yeah, for the POC, most of the time I would say it's successful.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're kind of, actually, that's not what we were expecting.
Okay.
Same thing. At the beginning of a POC, you define KPIs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
What will make you say, yes, let's go ahead and build that product? Or what will tell us, well, no, you stop. So same thing. You build KPIs, you define your KPIs. They need to be data-driven KPIs as well. It's not like, if we like it, then we say yes. If we don't like it, we say no. No, it doesn't work like that. So you need to have like key data. And then even if it's, I don't know, 3-4 points below, and you're kind of like, it's just 3-4 points below. Yes, but your KPI was there from the beginning. Of course, you need some flexibility sometimes. But they were there for a reason. So you also need to have that kind of like courage sometimes to say, okay, it's not what we were expecting. Let's drop and build something else.
And do you take into account as well, like, I don't know, maybe there are some airlines that are a bit more excited about like your projects. So do you have in your objectives the sort of balance to have between the opcos? I believe you can't only build, I don't know how you finance this lab, but I guess it's a group initiative. How do you balance between the different clients?
Yeah, so the thing is, so we have a budget from IAG, and then we have a kind of a recharge mechanism depending on the adoption. But the thing is, in the group, we have big airlines. British Airways is really, really big airline versus small airlines like Aer Lingus. Aer Lingus is a small airline. So the value delivered won't be the same. It's not the same scale. It's just facts. So, of course, sometimes you're kind of like, well, if we just have Aer Lingus and Vueling, they want to adopt this product, then, do we really want to build it? But at the same time, you know that maybe British Airways are not ready today, but
they may adopt it later.
They might adopt it later because they are going through a transformation, or they have this program going on, etc., etc. So it's always balancing value, budget, and roadmaps of the opcos. I mean, all the opcos won't have the same roadmap.
Of course.
It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are individual businesses as well. So, yeah, there is a plot of risk, I would say, as well. That, okay, maybe the value delivered won't be what you expected at the beginning. And that's fine. But, I mean, in the end, you cannot really know for sure, I think. Because again, AI it's not just AI, it's like how people will use the AI as well, and are they ready for that?
And what are the key area you're exploring? So it's been a year only, but you know very well the topic anyway. Can you share with us like what are the key things you're trying to solve, or the key products you build?
Yeah, so there is a big subject around maintenance. So maintenance of the engines. So, of course, like in each plane you have engines, and those engines are really, really expensive, and they have a lifetime, kind of like a set lifetime, I would say. Yeah. But you need to have them revised on a very regular basis. So it costs a lot of money because you have a lot of them, and you need to have a schedule. It's a lot of data points to take into consideration. And we are trying to understand if with AI, we could maybe have a better way to solve the life cycle of engines, and how we could save money because we check on the engines on more regular basis or at the right time, etc., etc. So a lot of things there. There is also the fact that a lot of the people working on the engine, they're going to retire at some point. It's a thing, and that happens in a lot of industry. You have people doing work. They've done that for very, very, very long time, probably their entire life, and they're going to retire, but you have no one coming in and want their job.
Oh, wow.
So kind of like, so how do you do the knowledge transfer? And how do you make sure that the new people that you need to train will know exactly the same thing? So we are trying to find out how AI could solve that as well. Like, is it like maybe a chatbot with like key, like a knowledge base? But again, it takes a lot of time, etc., because you need to build a knowledge base. So like everything around maintenance is a big thing. Customer contact, but I think it's not just for the airline industry. I think customer contact will need to be transformed because they're not efficient, and also because you have a lot of tools that can allow you to have a better customer service. If, let's say, you call a customer center and then you have everything transcripted after the call, then the agent doesn't need to do that and can do something else. Maybe can try to really find a solution for your problem, because they very quickly search for the answer and like automatically they have the answer pushed to them. Again, good thing. If we can, that's kind of tricky because again, with AI, you don't know what's like ethical, not ethical, because everything is about to be designed a little bit like crypto, right? At the beginning, like you're all on, and then you try to have regulation around that. But analyzing the tone of voice of the customer can give you like a feeling about their satisfaction, for example, and so ENPS, etc. It's a lot of things like that can really help to build more efficient and I would say more enjoyable customer contact. And then there is everything very related to the operations of an airline. It's like in the airport and like the baggage thing, and then the delayed. It's a lot of things on a day-to-day basis. If a flight is delayed, then so the stairs to go off the plane, maybe they're on another plane, so it's gonna take 20 minutes for them to come to the plane that's late. So a lot of things like that. With AI, you can predict, so you can anticipate things, and it gives you the next best actions. That's really what's interesting in operations. It's the next best action depending on the data point. And again, people, when they think about AI, it's like robots and stuff that do everything for you. Well, it's not just that. It's also AI can give you the next best action based on data points. And maybe you don't have that in mind. Maybe the process is so big with so many people involved that it's impossible to have next best action in just a second. So that's what AI can allow you to do as well.
So is there, because you're talking about airports and airline, is there any either data sharing between the different like ecosystem player, like I will think about immigration, airports, this type of players, or even product sharing? Like, for example, you will develop like a product that actually helps the teams at the airport that are not the airline teams to as well like improve the customer experience. So how do you integrate in this ecosystem? Are you completely independent or do you work with them?
Yeah, so we work with all those players depending on the domain. So of course, if you're working with the operations in the airport, then you're gonna talk to different teams and they might not be part of the airline or they might be part of the airline. It depends. So data sharing is a big thing.
Yes.
Data in AI is like the key, clearly. And that's funny that you're asking that question because so for me, data is one of the KPI I'm tracking. So it's the access of data.
Yes.
Because when we work with the opcos, even in discovery, if we don't have access to their data, it's difficult for us to prove that actually it makes sense to be on that product. So, and that's a big thing. So now I have a KPI in my dashboard tracking the time it takes to get access to data. And I think that's going to be a big thing for a lot of companies in a lot of industries. Because the thing is, I think the companies are more mature when it comes to data. But when you think about all those startups that became scale-ups, data most of the time comes really, really late in the process of developing a company. And if you haven't thought about it at the beginning, then you will pay it. Like it's going to be very expensive at the end. So when I talk to entrepreneurs launching their startup, etc., and sometimes I do a bit of coaching, have you thought about your data? Like, what are you doing? How are you gathering the data? How do you treat them? Where do you save them? How do you organize your data? That's a big thing because, again, we're going to have audits. More and more in AI, you're going to have audits. Well, how do you prove things if you don't have the data? So it's like everything is linked to data, and data sharing is a big thing, especially in AI. Because what can you share? You cannot share the name of the passengers. You cannot share their date of birth, their nationality. It's a lot of different things. And it's like some things we are also having, I'm thinking about like, the bias. So I'm kind of like diverting a bit. But when we are working with customer center and we are working with suppliers to develop a product to transcript the call, well, you have to be careful to understand all accents. Because if, let's say, the American accent, the British accent, or like very well transcribed it, but then the Irish accent is not, you're that's a bias. That's like, could be like not fair. And so what do you do about it? So same thing when we develop AI product, we always have risks that we are monitoring on a like pretty much like weekly basis about bias, about fairness, all those key things that you need to think about because you cannot have a product that doesn't understand French accent speaking English.
Which is the nicest, by the way.
So that's one thing you need to think about as well. Just to get back to data. Data is a big thing. I think a lot of companies will struggle with AI if they don't have their data in order.
Properly stored, high quality, as high as you can.
Yeah, they need to be consumable in a very easy way. I mean, when you talk to some airlines, they still have like pile of papers with the data. You're like, well, it's going to be difficult.
It's going to take us time.
I cannot build, I could build a robot that scans.
It's a different product.
So yeah, big topic around data.
So do you work on, because this takes a lot of time, to train the people, to explain to the people, I mean, more in the business functions, to explain to them how important it is what you were doing, because your job is quite new. Even what the AI lab is doing, it's quite new. Like, how are you responsible as well to like, train them, explain, a bit like market what you're doing to make sure that actually the business understands what you're doing and they make the effort as well to like, for example, the data is a perfect example, but like to sort out their data before they come and ask you for a product, or I'm simplifying, but is this something that you do, or this is something that is being managed outside of the lab?
I mean, the thing is, data management is super touchy as well, like kind of politics in a company. So it's difficult to say to people, you need to have your data in order. That's quite challenging. However, when it comes to training, so the teams that I have in my AI lab, I tell them, you're a mini company. You're a product factory. You're building your own product for your industry. So you need to act as mini CEO, mini CEO, mini CTO. And I'm kind of like, when you use Microsoft for the first time, you had a kind of like a guide to explain to you how to use the product because that was new to you. So you need to do the exact same thing for your product. When you deliver a product, you need to have a user guide for your people, I mean, your users. You need to have the right support in place as well. So you need to open your door, make sure you have like Q&A session with them, etc. And we also have, so with the change management team that I talked about at the beginning, we are building kind of like training adoption plans where you need to find champions in each team. You need to train them. It's like a train the user kind of sessions. And then they're responsible for training their team. We make sure we build like promotional videos because you need to have the managers on board as well. If you deliver an AI product, they need to understand why they should use that for their team.
Of course.
You're kind of like telling them what is going to do, like the productivity that they will gain, etc. So that's the first thing. So promotional video is a big thing. We do that with AI, of course, because we have a creative studio. So it's really cool. We build user guides. When I talk to the team, I always tell them, don't forget that you're talking to people. We might work in AI, but we're working with people and we're talking to people. So they're going to be afraid because change is not comfortable. Like nobody likes change. So you need to make sure you teach them in the right way, because at the end of the day, you want them to use your product because you want to have good KPIs. Good KPIs like your revenue for your your mini company. You need to have usage, you need to have good feedback, just to show the business that you're delivering the values that you would deliver. So we have those plans. As part of the product development as well, it's like a proper part in our cycle. And then we have to train the people internally. We have the AI Academy. That's another thing that we've built. It's kind of another pillar. We've been an AI Academy because we need our people to build AI responsibly and safely. So we need to make sure they understand that they are building AI products. We need to make sure they understand all the risks around AI products, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a program that we've developed for our people. And of course, other opcos can use it to train their people if they want to. But the main function of that AI Academy is to train internally our people.
How many people do you have in your lab?
So today we have 120 people.
Oh, wow. So just in a year?
Yeah.
And they're all part of the company, or you use contractors?
We have a lot of contractors, but we treat all the people as employees because building a culture is something very important for me as well. I feel like if you really want to have people behind your vision, behind your mission, you want them to understand what you want to build, and they need to be part of the company. So we have our own values. So those people are treated as employees.
When I hear you, I understand that like whenever there is a product, you decide at the end of the discovery phase to actually use the product. You were saying you need to recruit the team. So you need to be very, very quick. And very, very agile in the process. So that's why I was asking if you have to actually recruit everyone.
In the UK and in Spain as well, my preference is always to go to the contractor market, so freelancer market, because the thing is, in the economy we have at the moment, we have a lot of people who were in scale-ups and they've been laid off because of like the economic situation. So because I need people with this startup mindset, I need them to be, I need them to have that flexible mindset.
Yeah.
I need them to understand that sometimes we stop some products, even if they love them and they want to build them, they'll have to accept that we'll stop them and move to something else. They'll have to accept that the roadmap might change like 10 times in 1 year. So they need to understand those things. And I mean, I've been in startups, so I know that when you work in startup and if you loved your experience in startups, then you have that mindset. So when I joined, I was like, okay, you know what? I know a lot of layoffs happened. I mean, it's the economic situation. So let's try to see if we could recruit those people, because they cannot find another job like super easily right now. The situation is like quite critical in the UK. Like all the companies are firing people and not recruiting. So I'm not sure they'll find another job in another startup easily. However, I know that a lot of those people are becoming contractors just to find something, because they need to work as like pretty much everyone. That's how we started to recruit our people. And if they like IAG.ai, so the lab, then we can convert them into permanent employee, which is like really nice, because at least you can, I mean, it's a contract between
it's a win-win situation. Right?
It's like,
they need to like
do you like us? Do we like you? And does it work fine? Like, do you understand what we want to do? Are you supportive of what we are building? Because I really want to be people who are passionate about that. I mean, when I was at Checkout, I was passionate about Checkout. I was like, Checkout is my life. So and we built a team like that. So I wanted to recreate the same vibes and really having people who understand what we do, understand that things can change, and making sure that they're all so passionate about their product that they will build the right product for the company.
You were saying that during the discovery phase, you have like 2 people per product, but then it grows. And what is interesting as well is to understand once the product, so the POC is built, then you industrialize, you will probably scale it from an airline to another. And then who maintains the product?
The key profiles are product managers.
Okay.
We have a couple of architects as well, just to define the right architecture of the products, and then data scientists, data engineers, ML engineers. They're all like the key ones.
Okay.
I had a debate originally with my clients, say, should we recruit delivery leads? But again, coming from a startup world, I'm kind of like, well, a product and a delivery leads are the same people for me. I mean, if you're a product lead, you want to know when your product will be delivered, etc. So I decided to not hire delivery leads.
Okay.
So I have a product delivery leads. That's like one. And then in the automation world, so we have a team doing like lean processes, etc. Change management, so change manager quite a lot. We have automation engineers, that's how we call them. And then we also have software engineers, like proper software engineers, because you need to build the platform to have your product live. We also have those people. And then we have some like support roles like PMO, finance, etc.
What interests me is to go, how does the team evolve from discovery to the maintenance of the product as well? So
we start with those 2 people, then we grow the team with data scientists, data engineers, and then we go into support mode.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's the team
that build the product.
Supporting the product.
Okay.
And that's because we are in, we have different level of support. So we have level 2, level 3, level 4. Right now we are in between level 2 and level 3. So it works, but at some point we'll have to have a proper support team. But the thing is, same thing, you need to build the team, you need to make sure you have the right profiles, you need to build the operational framework as well, because it probably need to be 24 hours 7. So it's like another logistic as well. So it's the plan, it's part of the plan, but that's more like a 2025 subject.
Okay. And the contractor model allows you to scale up and down the teams.
Exactly.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, that's another flexibility that offers this model. And I mean, the thing is, you could have seasonal contractors as well. They just come in and then leave. But
you need to onboard them. It's actually a lot of work.
Yeah, but we also have a proper interview process.
Okay.
So same as if you were perm, so a little bit lighter, but we test the skills. We ask questions about like culture. We try to identify if it's the right culture fit, etc. So yeah, there are things we're all checking in the interview as well.
And did you consider having a center of excellence like in an offshore, like offshoring it? I'm asking this because that's a question we get asked a lot in this region, especially because there are a lot of like offshore opportunities in the region. So is this something you've considered as well? Or the end model is really going to be like a mix between the permanent contractors, the contractors, the permanent employees?
Yeah, so of course we consider it just because it exists. However, I'm a strong believer that our assets are our people. So I want to have people onshore. And sometimes when we have a new product to develop, and we need to be like super quick in the way we set up the team, etc. Because there is like a hard deadline. We're like, okay, so should we go to a supplier, like a big supplier? And when they say, oh, we could have like an offshore team, I'm like, no offshore team. And I work with offshore teams and they're great, but the model I want to build in those labs, or I want to have busy labs. I want to make sure people are sharing ideas, people are together, and they're part of that. They're part of that mini company we are building. Yeah. So if you have suppliers, and especially offshore, then they won't feel part of that company. Yeah. So they probably do what you want them to do really well, but then they disappear. And so you're kind of left with a product, but not the people who build the product. So who can talk about those products? Yeah. Who can go around and say, oh, the product we built is really great, and it can do that and that and that. So that's why I really wanted to have the people onshore. And for now, it takes time. Yeah. It's kind of like try, learn, fail situation. Yeah. But it's great as well, because you know that when you find the right person for the role, then that person will stick.
Yeah, I think it's good to hear as well that like when building this type, when working in tech or AI, data, in all this, on all these topics, it's important to go back to like what is important, and it's actually people, and the culture around the people is very key. Is this like if we look into the big challenges, you mentioned a lot of challenges. I understand that the people part of it will be the main challenge.
For me, it's the biggest challenge. Okay. Having the right people.
Motivate them.
Yeah, having the right motivation, because that's another thing, right? If you find the right people, they'll be super motivated about their product. And even if they have that startup mindset I talked about, if you say, I'm going to stop the product, then they might feel demotivated at some point. So how do you make sure that you have the next exciting thing? It's like the shiny thing for them. So it kind of like motivates you, because at the end of the day, I cannot build AI product myself. Like I can organize the operations, I can recruit the people, but it's not me building. So if I don't have those people, my lab will be empty and I won't deliver anything to the group. I need to excite those people. I need to keep them motivated. So it forces me to always think about the next thing. Yeah. Always think about, okay, so how are we going to organize the team? And maybe that person could help there, and make sure that when we stop a product, then we move people around, they do different things. Maybe they find their next good opportunity and they're like, oh, I want to stay with that team. So it's always managing the people. Like for me, my main job right now is to manage the people, really.
Yeah, keep them motivated, keep them in the company, and they are your assets. They are
Definitely, yeah. They're all key, and without them,
you can't run a lab.
So yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Is there, just as a last question, is there a key takeaway or you want to share with the audience, or anything we haven't discussed that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I think I would say not everything will be solved by AI.
Yeah, thank you for reminding us.
I think that's my main takeaway. And when I talk to people, like, oh, I like to have AI in my company. I'm like, not sure where, but yeah.
It's the very shiny and buzzword. Yeah, to be careful.
Yeah. I would say be careful. AI is great, and we will do a lot of things with AI for sure. However, sometimes you just need to step away and just look at what you have and see where you can just maybe change the process a little to solve your problem. So don't think that AI will solve all your problem. That's not true. Sometimes it's just like thinking. Sometimes it's just like writing, like with a piece of paper, all your processes and say, oh, it doesn't make sense when you write them. And you go, oh, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to remove that step, change this, change that. Yeah, AI is great. And I'm sure we'll do really great thing with it, but it's not going to solve everything.
Thank you so much. I think it was a very useful reminder about people, the importance of culture, the importance of like looking into other ways to solve challenges than AI. Quick reminder as well about the cost of it, which is really important, thinking always about maintenance, scale, adoption, etc. So thank you for sharing your amazing experience. I think it's going to be very useful for especially people in this region, because the labs are really like coming, like there are more and more initiatives like this in the larger companies here. So that was actually a very good discussion. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Margot. Thank you for having me.